Hands off Venezuela! Viva Maduro! Viva Chávez!
Venezuela!
No to imperialism!
Venezuela!
Yo soy chavista!
Venezuela! 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 Hey, hey!
Great.
Señores, dear friends, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming to this protest that has been organized to accentuate that we want the U.S. to vote out of Venezuela. That we want the U.S. to make any changes that is not made by the people of Venezuela. The people of Venezuela have the right to decide their own future. We have several speakers to talk to you here now, and we have
we'll keep rallying.
And we have a follow-up meeting planned for Wednesday, January 30th at the Denny's in by the Palmetto, 7411 Northwest 36th Street. We're gonna have a Facebook event page to that. So this Wednesday at 7:30 we will have a follow-up meeting. This has been a success, a major success, and as you can see from the cars that are passing by, at least half of the people are supporting us. Yes. At least half of the people are supporting us. The American people don't want no more intervention in any other country.
Say no to war and yes to peace.
Speech segment of the rally. I'm going to introduce my co-chair of the South Florida Labor Community Alliance, Jack Lieberman.
All right.
3 minutes.
You know, it's 40 years since we established at the victory of the Nicaraguan Revolution, a group here in La Casa, first the Nicaragua Solidarity Committee and then La Casa. And I want to tell you, we fought in solidarity with El Salvador, Nicaragua, Cuba, of course, against intervention. And we were shot at, we were firebombed, we were physically attacked more than once. And the fact that we are having this rally today in the middle of a city that has a huge Venezuelan population, where the counter-revolution is a big, big victory that we need to build on. We are literally in the belly of the beast. And if we can have a rally like this here, we need to publicize it and let people know so that we can set an example for all over the U.S. to build this kind of movement. Because we know from the history of Latin America, from Guatemala in '54, from Cuba, from Grenada, from the Dominican Republic, you could go down a long list. Panama, what we did in Nicaragua. You can go down a long list in Honduras.
Grenada.
Where we have, in time after time, in Haiti, stopped progress, stopped positive development for the people of Latin America by putting in corporate stooges. And that's what they want to do in Venezuela. This is about oil, not we are against democracy in Venezuela. We're there to get the oil and the resources, then to set an example to stop progress in Latin America. So we need to build a grassroots movement. We can't depend on politicians. We have to depend on people in the streets to demand no intervention in Venezuela. We want peace, not war, and we need to keep the pressure on. Most importantly, I want to invite you all, what Lorenzo said, to come this Wednesday to the meeting, because we need to build an ongoing movement. One action alone isn't going to stop this administration.
No.
So we need to mobilize, and by the way, I hate to say it, both parties. We have the Democratic Party in Miami carrying the same line for intervention in Venezuela. So we can't rely on anybody, any politicians. We only rely on ourselves.
Bernie and Tulsi are against intervention in
He's
Venezuela.
right. Bernie and Tulsi have come out against intervention in Venezuela, and we need to put all of the candidates on the spot to oppose intervention in Venezuela. There's a big Democratic primary. This should be a number of Democrats declaring that they want to run. This should be a litmus test as to where they stand on foreign policy and where they stand on corporate rule. So we need to hold their feet to the fire and make this a major national issue. Thank you. I'll see you Sunday. I'll see you Wednesday. Wednesday.
7:30.
Golpe sí, democracy. Golpe no, democracy.
Sí.
Golpe no, democracy.
I like the Spanish. That's good, man. That's good.
Alexa.
And also, I just want to make known that the provisional government of the Republic of New Africa, which I am the cultural ambassador, we say no to corporate imperialism and U.S. imperialism, and hands off Venezuela.
Okay. Michael Martinez from the Labor Community Alliance of South Florida is going to speak. He's one of our valued members.
First of all, I want to thank everybody who came out and is here today, because I know it took a lot of guts. When I first proposed to comrades to have a demonstration for Hands Off Venezuela here in Doral, let me tell you, it wasn't easy. A lot of people thought maybe we were going to get attacked. But we're here, and we're making history in Miami. Sí se puede.
Sí se puede.
Sí se puede.
Sí se puede.
We're here opposed to military intervention in Venezuela. What's going on? They're playing a very dangerous game in Venezuela. When the usurper Juan Guaido self-proclaimed himself as president of Venezuela. Anyone can proclaim themselves the president of nothing. I am the president of the moon. But when you get recognized by a dangerous power like Trump and Trudeau and the imperialist forces, the danger is imminent. So we're here to stop the war drive, and we're here to say no to U.S. intervention. And we chose Univision because they've been beating the war drums all along. They've been lying on TV. They call Maduro a dictator, and that's a lie.
And a murderer.
They call Maduro a murderer, and that's a lie. And constantly, they're making up things about Venezuela, about Nicaragua, about Cuba, and we all know what that means. That means war, imperialist war. So we're here to stand against war for the most noble and just causes of humanity. And we tell Univision, tell the truth. 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 Tell the truth.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Mentirosos.
Now, a special from New York City.
Hey,
New York City.
New
hello.
York City.
Hello, my name's Marty. I'm with Socialist Action, retired union officer from New York Transit Workers. All right, thank you.
Local 100.
We shut down New York. We shut it down. Anyway, U.S. hands off Venezuela.
Hands off Venezuela.
What could be more imminent, more important than mobilizing in the street against the war machine that is mobilized against Venezuela? 200 years of aggression in Latin America. U.S. interventions over 100 times. I would take you back to Haiti in 1991 when the CIA dedicated millions of dollars to overthrow the democratically elected president of Haiti, Jean-Bertrand Aristide. Without shame. Without shame. And there was a U.S. occupation that has lasted years and that is continuing. I want to say that imperialism is bipartisan. No one party owns it. It's a function of the system. And now we see that the New York Times, which is supposed to be anti-Trump and liberal, they are saying Trump was right to recognize this phony president of Venezuela. So we have the ruling class that will be lining up for intervention. Some of them may disagree, but it's only on the surface. They all went for Iraq. They all went for Afghanistan. And even Bernie Sanders has voted time and again for funding Israel and Iraq and Afghanistan. So we cannot trust a single Democrat to keep us out of war and intervention. So I want to say congratulations for mobilizing. I grew up in South Florida. It's wonderful to see everybody and keep on struggling. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Marty. I'm going to say a few words in name of also the Labor Community Alliance of South Florida. And I wrote it down because I don't want to miss a bit. Dear colleagues, it's my honor to stand here with you to say to the Trump administration and the rest of our government that we demand hands off Venezuela. Venezuela is a sovereign nation, and their people don't need foreign countries meddling in their affairs. They certainly don't need foreign countries recognizing self-appointed presidents. Our nation is the leader of the recognition pact. The Trump administration, and let's not forget our own little Marco Rubio, are using the power and prestige of the United States to dupe other nations into following us in interfering in the internal affairs of Venezuela. The claim is that Maduro stole the elections. Maduro received 67% of the votes in the recent elections of May 2018. The opposition said they refused to run a serious campaign because the elections were rigged. No matter that observers from 8 different nations were there to witness the proceedings. As usual, as it happened with Iraq, our government sights are set in Venezuela's oil reserves, which are the world's largest. Do you remember Dick Cheney head spinning about Iraq's oil? If you don't, go and see the movie Vice. Do you remember how many lies were fabricated to excuse grabbing Iraq's oil? Well, the same script is being used in Venezuela. Let me repeat, Venezuela possesses the largest oil reserves in the world. 20% of all the oil in the planet is in Venezuela. Washington greed addicts that gave us the Iraqi invasion, using the excuse of weapon of mass destruction, are now concocting the same thing in Venezuela. Let's remember this. We lost close to 6,000 soldiers in Iraq, and 35,000 have been listed as injured. Those are the memories that we are left with from the greed-induced military adventures. And remember, those that die and get injured are not the children of the 1%. We in the Labor Community Alliance of South Florida stand in solidarity with the people of Venezuela. We are against any military incursion in Venezuela. Venezuelans have the right, as any other people, to decide in peace who should lead them. To conclude, let me cite the wise words of Mexico Senator Hector Vasconcelos, who is president of the Mexico's Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Vasconcelos said, regardless of the reservations or criticisms that one might have toward the government or President Maduro, The North American interference is unacceptable. Nothing will contribute more to the questioning of the legitimacy and credibility of Juan Guaido than the support he received from the United States. Hands off of Venezuela. Venezuela needs natural reconciliation, no foreign intervention.
Hands off Venezuela! Hands off Venezuela!
Hey, friends and comrades! Friends and comrades, next week, Saturday, there's going to be a demonstration by the progressive Cuban community. A lot of them are here. A lot of people that are here are progressive Cubans, and they're having a caravan against the embargo and against the closing of the offices of immigration between Cuba and the United States. So next Saturday in Hialeah at noon, once again, come out against imperialism, support the Cuban Revolution. Next Saturday at noon, we will have Facebook events and emails, and you guys will find out.
Christian. Christian Ortiz, representing the Democratic Socialists of America. Christian Ortiz.
My name is Christian Ortiz. An organizer with DSA and with Colombian Progressives. Colombian Progressives, we're here to show solidarity with Venezuela and with those who stand up against imperialism.
Viva Colombia!
We stand up with Venezuela because we know what it is like to organize and to fight for democracy in a state where it's only quote-unquote democracy. When we stand up and when we organize for women's rights, for students' rights, for medical rights, for education, and for social justice in Colombia, what they send us is death squads. This is exactly what they're trying to lead Venezuela into. When they say Guaido is democracy, Democrat, center-left, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. We don't believe it. So when they say that they're here just trying to take us back to democracy, no, they're trying to take us back to what Colombia, where we are right now. And that's why we're here today, standing with Venezuela. Thank you for inviting us, and thank you for allowing us being here with you all.
Thank you. Carlos.
¡Alerta! ¡Alerta! ¡Alerta que camina! ¡Las paredes por América Latina! ¡Por el sur de la Florida! ¡Alerta! ¡Alerta! ¡Alerta que camina! ¡Las paredes por el sur de la Florida! ¡Alerta! ¡Alerta! ¡Alerta que camina! ¡Las paredes por el sur de la Florida! Sí, somos un grupo, okay, so in English. So we're a anti-war group, which is basically a political unicorn in South America, in South Florida. We're a group that wants to oppose in its totality the imperial wars that happened because of the U.S. And we are so glad to be part of this amazing gathering. So many people here that we know, that we struggled before in Miami, in Broward County, in West Palm. This is what resistance looks like. And what we're saying today is that it is extremely important to be in those spaces, injecting the true narrative of what's going on. I find it completely hypocritical that Univision, a station that proclaims to care about immigrants, when they're here, says absolutely nothing of the direct cause of migration. And the direct cause of migration is the interventionist actions of the United States. What is happening in Honduras was a direct cause of the spike in the caravan. What will probably happen in Brazil with the neo-fascist president over there, and his U.S. support of Brazil will lead only to further exodus. What is happening in Colombia, where hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of indigenous, environmental, and labor rights leaders are exterminated, is outrageous. And what is happening in Venezuela, like my friend here was saying, can we declare ourselves the president of the moon? This is the infantile, racist, imperialist logic that we see this nation supporting, and we see the Trump administration supporting. And so again, very simply, this is so beautiful. The action that we're doing, that is a historic action. We're talking about a caravan right in the middle of Hialeah. That is absolutely powerful and symbolic and will always be remembered. Hopefully all of us could be here. Imagine all of us, 40, 50 cars, all them with flags, injecting that righteousness right in the middle of the cesspool of gusanos. That would be amazing. That will be one. That is next Saturday. The plans are being set up. All of them are planning it. We're just supporting it from the side, from power, from Colombian organizations. But it would be amazing and it would be beautiful. And so again, this is what righteousness is made of. This is how we come together for our communities. And this is what we say, no más golpe. Por eso decimos también, queremos arepa, queremos paz. Golpe, ya no más. Queremos arepa, queremos paz. Golpe, ya no más. Queremos arepa, queremos paz. Golpe, ya no más.
Ven. También de la Labor Community Alliance of South Florida.
Vamos a poner de vuelta. Buenos días, mi nombre, buenas tardes, ya llegó a ser la tarde, mi nombre es Didier Ortiz, yo soy el presidente del Perú, ya que el presidente como presidente del Perú declaro completamente ilegítimo la injerencia norteamericana. Nosotros nos declaramos en solidaridad con Venezuela, siguiendo el derecho internacional, pudiendo reconocer al único gobierno que hay en Venezuela y apostando por la paz. Les quiero agradecer a ustedes por estar aquí, por haber salido a declararse en contra del imperialismo, porque tenemos que llamarlo por su nombre, imperialismo. Nosotros tenemos que empezar un movimiento que vaya en contra de la guerra. Nosotros entendemos que el imperialismo no solo quiere arrebatar con Venezuela, pero con todos los países de esta gran humanidad. Nos quieren convertir a todos en esclavos de un capitalismo monopolista, que es el nombre científico del imperialismo. Así que yo les pido que vengan a estos eventos que se han anunciado. Hay que declararlos en contra del bloqueo. Muchas gracias.
Gracias. Ahora el presidente de Nicaragua. Camilo Mejía.
Presidente
De Nicaragua.
Today, I'd like to self-proclaim President of Doral. And my first order is an eviction order for Univision.
Let's go for it.
We're not telling the truth.
Let's go for it.
Besides being the president of Doral, I'm a Nicaraguan citizen. And I am here not only for the people of Venezuela, but also for the people of Nicaragua, where something very similar is happening. And something very similar happened in Brazil already, in Argentina, in Paraguay, in Ecuador, and they're going after the remaining progressive governments of Latin America, including Venezuela. Venezuela is a cornerstone for all the other countries that are resisting in the region, including my own country, including Cuba, including Bolivia. And this is not about people not having a right to protest their government or to want change. This is about the United States keeping its hands off the affairs of other nations. We have seen the trail of destruction and death behind every single U.S. intervention. Whether we're talking about Honduras or we're talking about other parts of Latin America or we're talking about the Middle East, we're talking about some of the societies that had the highest standards of living in the Middle East, including Iraq, including Libya, where they had the highest standard of life in all of Africa, and there's slavery today. These are the consequences of U.S. involvement in the affairs of other nations. We are here to say no in Venezuela, we are here to say no in Nicaragua, to say no in Bolivia, to say no everywhere in the world where the United States is trying to intervene. We are here to say no.
No to intervention.
Thank you.
No to intervention. Thank you. No to intervention.
No to intervention.
No to intervention. No to intervention. No to intervention. No to intervention.
No pasarán. 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 No pasarán.
Ok, hermanos, hermanas.
Es que decir algo por Puerto Rico.
Ok, deja.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings. My name is Malik Shabazz. I'm with the Provisional Government of the Republic of New Africa. Yo soy Boricua. So I just want to let you know that everything that was being said is beautiful, but let's not forget too what has taken place in Puerto Rico. We went 1 year without electricity. We have people that are dying, children, elderly. You know, this is the consequence. This is the one thing that really wasn't mentioned. Think of all the lives that are going to be lost when these imperialist pigs go into different countries and start bombing like they're doing in Yemen, in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Somalia. You know, so we have to say no to all, as it was said before earlier. I want to reiterate, no to imperialism. Let's just keep fighting for justice and peace, and let's create a better world for everyone. All power to the people.
Bravo. Now, she wants to take a picture of all of us.